Hi, welcome to Lakeside Farm. As always, I was consulted by someone who asked me why his goats are failing to give birth twice a year. I want to assure you, each normal goat should be giving birth twice a year. But there are many factors that can lead to your goats not giving birth twice a year. And those factors are what we are here to talk about today. Initially, when we had just begun, we realized that those goats were giving birth only once a year. And because we had a lot of issues around us, nutrition, hygiene, we did not even have the perfect idea of what we were doing. But as we went on, we realized that things were getting better and better. And of course, it took some consulting. These are some of the factors that can stop your goats from giving birth twice a year. And if you follow the right steps and correct these things, you will ensure that your goats actually give birth twice a year. Number one is what we call pregnancy reabsorption. Pregnancy reabsorption happens when your goats get pregnant. You can actually see that they've been bred, but the process that follows in the next 30 days is what will determine whether that pregnancy will be kept or not. When your goats get pregnant, for the first months, do not administer any kind of medication to them, because then the zygote or the baby in the stomach is still forming. And when the baby is still forming and this medicine, whatever medication, whether it's deworming or vaccination or anything, when it gets into the body, it messes up the formation of the baby. And that's when you realize that, oh, I've seen some of my goats having some little blood from their privates. Well, it may be something to ignore because it's not going to cause a lot of danger, but that little blood actually may mean that your goat has miscarried. But if you don't take good care to notice, that means the goat is now going to go back to the first cycle. It has now to wait until it gets back on heat, and then it will be bred by a male. And if you continue doing the same process of medicating your goat again when it is not yet 30 days or 1 month after conceiving, it will still be another case of pregnancy reabsorption. The pregnancy will be lost, and your goat will now have to wait for another cycle to come back on heat and then be bred. That's why you see that some goats fail to give birth twice a year. Another issue that can cause that is nutrition. If your goats are not eating the right nutrients of food or the right amounts of food, they cannot get on heat because the hormones are not stimulated. They need a very well balanced diet, a good nutrition that will help them stimulate the hormones that will get them on heat so that the male can breed them. So if your goats are always on a poor nutrition, and it will take a long time for them to actually conceive or to get on heat and be bred by a male to give you babies. And you know, as we've already said, kids are your profit. So make sure the nutrition is good so that your goats eat well, they get on heat on time, they get bred on time, and ensure that in that first month, do not administer any kind of medication to them until the baby has fully formed in the stomach or in the womb, and then you can maybe deworm them or anything, and then you'll be sure that this pregnancy will be kept. But if the nutrition is bad, they will take long to get on heat. If you medicate them before the baby is fully formed, it will be a case of pregnancy reabsorption, and then you have to wait for another cycle. That's why goats will fail to give birth twice a year. But any normal well-fed goat and not tampered with when it has gotten pregnant will be sure to give birth twice a year, because the goat actually spends 5 months pregnant. That means if your goat is bred, let's say in January, you wait for 5 months and it will give you babies. And remember, the year is 12 months. So 10 months in a year are enough for goats to give birth twice a year. One other way you can ensure that your goats actually give birth twice a year is sacrificing at least 3 months without expecting any babies and do natural synchronization. When you do natural synchronization, you ensure that all your goats are bred at once. That means you have enough males to mate with all your goats, and all your goats are introduced to the males at the same time. It will be easy for you to keep records. You know that all my goats have been bred in this month, and in this month, after 5 months and in a few days, they should be giving birth. And then it's easy for you to have records and follow step by step to know which goat did not give birth this time, and then check why we did not give birth in the right expected time, because all goats are not the same. Some goats may be feeding very well and others may not be because of certain issues. There are goats that have grown out of age. When a goat overgrows old, the cycle will change. A goat that has been giving you 2 babies or 3 babies will start giving you 1 baby. And it will start skipping the cycles because it is old. The body is now old and tired. It cannot keep up with the same body of a goat that is young. So when you have done natural synchronization, you will now start noticing that, oh, such and such a goat did not give birth. Why? Then you check whether the goat is very old or whether you medicated that goat during the period when they have just gotten pregnant, or maybe that goat is not just feeding well because maybe it had a lot of worms, it had issues here and there. Goats get different issues. Sometimes, even if it's just a wound, or even if your goat just got an injury somewhere on the leg, all those issues can stop goats from getting on heat and conceiving. But if you don't take those necessary steps to ensure that the pregnancies are actually kept, then your goats will not be bred and your goats will not give you babies twice a year. Another issue is when you're having so many goats and you only have 1 male. For example, I visited someone and they had 100 females on their farm. And for those 100 females, they only had 1 boer male. And apparently for them, they were told that 1 male is enough to serve 100 females. Well, this guy can serve all these goats, but it will take a longer time. That's why you see that some goats will give birth twice a year and other goats will not give birth twice a year, because it takes this goat a lot of time to go through all these females to ensure that they've been bred. So that also stops you from getting babies twice a year. But if you ensure that if you have 100 goats, let's say at least give each 40 goats a male. So if you have 100 goats, I think it would be safer to have 3 males. There, all your goats will be bred on time, all your goats will get pregnant, and you'll be able to have babies twice a year. But if you don't have enough males and you have a lot of females, that will also stop you from getting babies twice a year. So we have to think about all these things: nutrition, pregnancy reabsorption, the way we medicate our goats, the way we feed our goats. All those issues matter, but a normal well-fed goat should be able to give birth twice a year. All you have to do is take care and ensure that you keep all these records, but in keeping the records, also follow up with practicals and ensure that all your goats are well catered for. They will be bred on time because they have enough males. Don't give them medication because it will tamper with their first month of pregnancy, and ensure that the nutrition is very good. That is when your goats will be able to give you babies twice a year without issues. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, see you then.